welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Jeff Harding. Jeff, how's it going today?
Clear for takeoff, Commander. Doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really good. It's good to be here with you again. We had a week off last week.
We did.
But I think that we enjoyed it, and now we're happy to be back.
Actually, I felt kind of strange not coming over here Thursday afternoon.
I was actually out of town.
Yes, you were.
And so I probably missed it a little less than you did.
Because I was sitting at my desk thinking,
I should be somewhere.
I need to go somewhere. I need to move.
Well, we're glad to be back for sure.
Yes, we are.
So, Jeff, it's a war that has been waged for ages that I want to talk just a little bit about.
We're doing the Battle of the Sexes?
That's one of them.
But not the one.
But that's a different one.
Oh, okay. Which war have we been? Oh, the Battle of the Bulge.
The Battle of the Bulge.
Yes,
you guessed it.
I touched myself on the subject and I said it, yes.
But we all battle with that.
Well, I am definitely a combatant. It may not be my battle, but I'm a combatant. Huh? Yes, I am.
Well, we talk about this all the time.
Yes, we do.
Regularly, we talk about weight loss and the difficulty of it and some tips to kind of get us through. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
The reason that it's not easy, it's because everything it feels like is stacked against you and you're trying to lose weight.
Everything that's good and fun puts weight on you.
It tastes good. It's full of sugar. Sugar's in almost everything. They've added sugar to almost everything. The food that is the worst for you is the cheapest, so it's the most accessible. It's just hard.
Did you know there's sugar in your hamburger buns?
Everything.
Ketchup
has sugar.
Make it taste good, though.
Everything does.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I was out of town last week.
Yes,
and
you were.
You know the reason I was. I registered and wrestled in the Veterans Division at the U.S. Open Wrestling Tournament.
And I also know you had to lose a little bit of that weight to make weight.
Yeah, so I was kind of right in the middle of the weight class. I thought if I could get down to the weight class right below, I would probably do a little bit better. And I think that was the case.
Yeah.
But I needed to drop about 15 pounds. And it was hard. But it wasn't easy.
But when I was like in my 20s, it seemed like that was like 2 days' effort. But now that I'm in my
pounds in 2 days.
Now that I'm in my 50s, it's like a year's effort.
Well, it's doable. I did it, and it's doable, but it's not easy. I found that I had to get pretty regimented with myself. I did a couple of things. I worked out really, really hard, which I did. I tried to get myself in shape. I tried to get ready. And then I also went on what I called my apples, carrots, and chicken diet. And that was pretty much all I ate for about a month.
Going back to the not fun food.
Yeah, not fun. And vegetables and lean meat can be good. There's no question about it.
To supplement the good stuff, I do actually like my carrots and apples and stuff.
Supplement your brownies and the donuts.
Yes, the cookies, the basic food groups.
Anyway, in addition to my apples, carrots, and chicken diet, today I have a few weight loss tips that are actually scientific, not just anecdotal, like my experience.
Well, let's go for it.
Okay, number one, eat a big breakfast. You've heard that before, haven't you?
I've heard that. I've also heard the contrary, that doesn't really work.
This is always the hard part, right? Because there's always competing studies, right?
But the logic, it's very intuitive what they say.
Yeah, there is some intuition to it. And they have done studies, and in particular a study at the Imperial College in London. They did a study that found that when people skipped breakfast, first of all, the reward centers in the brain lit up when they were shown pictures of high-calorie foods, which I think that probably happens whether you skip breakfast or not, right?
It doesn't make any difference to me. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference.
They found, though, that if you skip breakfast, you'll be more tempted by bad-for-you snacks later in the day. And what's more, in 2013, they did a study that found that women who enjoyed a large morning meal had a larger drop in ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, than those who ate a small breakfast. So there's some science to it.
And I have noticed that if I eat well early in the morning, I feel full longer and don't have the cravings.
So you've experienced that in your life. Number two, this is an interesting one. I think you'll like this one. I liked this one. When I read this one, I was like, that's the tip for me.
The way your eyes lit up, I'm sure I'll like it.
So they say, they did a study and they found that finishing breakfast with something sweet is actually beneficial. Isn't that interesting?
I like that.
No, I see your eyes are now lighting up.
Yes, I like that.
So it was the Tel Aviv University Medical Center. They did a study. They took one group that had a 304-calorie breakfast with 10 grams of carbs, while the other group ate a 600-calorie breakfast.
So twice as much.
With 60 grams of carbs, which is significantly more.
That is.
Which included a small sweet, such as chocolate, a donut, a cookie, or cake, a dessert for breakfast.
Oh, I like that.
Now, halfway through the 8-month study, they found that both groups had actually lost an average of 33 pounds per person. So
really,
both groups were very successful. To lose 33 pounds is significant.
It is.
So that was huge. However, here's the kicker. This is the exciting part. At the end, after it was over, the low-carb group regained 22 pounds.
Wow.
While the dessert group dropped an additional 15 pounds.
Baby's coming home. Yes, we like that.
Donuts for breakfast.
That's right.
Anyway, researchers say that the dessert eaters reported dealing with fewer cravings and had a better chance of sticking to their calorie requirements for the rest of the day.
That's interesting.
No, again, there's some logic to that. Mm-hmm. But I like that one. I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, I definitely.
Okay, number 3. Eat 30 grams of fiber a day. So the American Heart Association did a study. One group was instructed to follow a diet with strict nutrient goals and limits on calories, sugar, saturated fat, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
While the other group was given one goal, and that was one goal only. All they had to do was consume 30 grams of fiber in a day. That was it. Whatever else they wanted to do was fine, but they had to eat 30 grams of fiber. At the end of the 3-month study, both groups lost weight and improved their heart health, showing that losing weight may be as easy as filling up on fiber. So both groups had success.
Do you have any? Can you give us a visual representation of what 30 grams of fiber might equal?
I don't have a visual representation of that.
I'm just thinking to me, that's you're filling yourself up with fiber.
Yeah.
That seems like a significant amount. So you're filling.
I should have done a little research on that. I'm not really sure. But they found that both groups were successful. So those who really kind of went through the hard part and cut back and all that kind of stuff, they had success.
Yeah.
But they also found that those who consumed 30 grams of fiber.
And it's like fruits and vegetables. So, you're probably.
So they did better. Yeah. The last one, number 4, pump up your protein intake. But they say, but not by too much. So this is what they recommend. Women need about 46 grams of protein a day, and men need about 56. And it's important that you hit that goal if you want to keep your weight in check. So it seems like meat or beans or eggs and dairy, those kinds of things, cheese, all those things, they do have protein. It feels like it should be really easy to hit those goals. But for some reason, Jeff, I've mentioned this before, I found that in my just regular day-to-day diet, I have a hard time hitting that goal. And I love all the things I just mentioned. So I don't know if I just need to make a more conscious effort.
Buckle down and do it.
But when I track, and I go through my ups and downs of tracking.
Right.
But when I track religiously and I'm writing down everything that I ate, I find that by the end of the day, I have not usually hit that protein. Anyway, they say that it's important. Your body needs more time and energy to digest protein than fat or carbs.
Right.
So you feel full for longer. And you also burn more calories absorbing the nutrients in that process as well.
Grandma used to say, it sticks to your ribs.
That's right. The ribs actually do stick to your ribs. So they also say that you don't want to overdose on protein either, though, because too much protein does just turn into fat, and that doesn't help anyways.
That's counteractive.
So anyway, 4 things to think about that are scientifically proven that might help with your weight loss. The battle of the bulge.
Well, I think that I'm in the right frame of mind for something like that.
Very good. I was going to say, today's guest might have an opinion on some of those ideas. We're welcoming back, she's been on the show with us before, Hannah Rothland. She's a kinesiologist and a mind-body specialist at the Live Well Center here in St. George, Utah. She's an expert on how the mind and the body work together to achieve wellness. And at one time in her life, Jeff, she was a legitimate Olympic hopeful in the sport of whitewater canoeing. So welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
We're glad that you could join us. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to do so.
Yes, we're glad to have you here.
So tell us, what do you think about some of these tips? You kind of work in the Live Well Center. You're helping people have a balance and a wellness in their life. Any of that make sense to you?
Absolutely. All the things that you pointed out, Kyle, are great suggestions. The importance of a well-balanced diet, and you were preparing for your athletic event. You needed to get your weight down. Jeff is working with the Battle of the Bulge, and he's looking for ideas. So yes, I think, and looking at evidence-based research, scientific studies, always a good idea because they're going to be a little bit more valid than some of the trends.
My anecdotal stories.
Yes.
If you eat a bunch of carrots, you'll be just fine, right? Well, so I want to talk about your area of expertise, this area of kinesiology, and also the mindfulness, the awareness that you kind of have specialized in. But before we get to that, it's an Olympic year this year. We're coming up on the Olympics. It's less than 100 days out, about 3 months out. Rio de Janeiro is hosting. I have an affinity for Brazil. I love the country. I'm really excited about it. I'm always watching for the news, that the news stories and the little flashes that come up. You were a legitimate contender to be an Olympic athlete for your country, for the United States of America, in the sport that I think a lot of people are maybe not that familiar with. Tell us just a little bit about whitewater canoeing, how it works, how you got into it, and then kind of how you transitioned out of it.
Well, the Olympic sport of whitewater canoeing, the very first year it was going to be in the Olympics, 1988. I was training in 1983 and had my vision, a long-range vision on that. But it was going to be one of the first times it was ever offered.
Was it an exhibition sport that year, or was it a real event?
In the past year, it was an exhibition.
The previous Olympic.
But this one was going to be the first time.
The one coming up that you were training for, that you were working for, was going to be the first one.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the sport. I've watched it only during the Olympics. That's the only time I've ever actually watched it. But tell us a little bit about the sport and how it works.
Well, the sport of whitewater kayaking or canoeing is whitewater canoeing was and I think is considered one of the most difficult individual whitewater sport there is. And I just kind of fell into it when I was in my early 20s.
No pun intended.
Yes, I fell into it. Thank you, Jeff. So I was working as an outdoor guide and took people on canoe trips and got hooked up with a group of people who were doing whitewater, and their specialized canoe. You put float bags in it so that if you do happen to tip over, you can actually roll back up and keep on going. It's quite exciting.
And so this is the sport where in the Olympics now they have man-made courses. So you're not actually finding a river to go down to compete at the Olympics, but you have to navigate through various gates, and some of them you have to come through backwards and all that stuff, right?
Yes. It's quite fascinating. It's similar to what you might find on a whitewater river, where you need to navigate forward and back and sideways. The interesting thing about the sport of canoeing is you only have one paddle.
So with the paddles on both ends, right?
Well, no, that's a kayak paddle.
Ah, interesting.
So
okay, there you go.
You just have
so you got to switch sides.
Yeah, and actually you don't have time to switch hands. So yes,
you just have to,
you keep the same
keep
grip. You're on the right side, you're on the left side, and
wow.
For me, it was a lot of twisting. It involves a lot of twisting, and that was the beginning of my career, and it was that amount of twisting, lifting a canoe. One day, I ruptured a disc in my back, and that ended that particular
So that was
vision.
the beginning and the end of your career, the twisting.
Yes.
Well, darn it. Well, I'm sorry that happened, but that was years ago, and you've found a way to work through that, obviously. You're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we are visiting with Hannah Rothland. She's a kinesiologist and a mind-body specialist at the Live Well Center here in St. George, Utah. And that's what I want to kind of get into. You had to have had a lot of focus while you were trying to achieve that goal, that vision, as you said, and then all of a sudden that's gone. It's no longer there. How did you deal with that mentally and emotionally, and what does that mean with what you're doing right now to help other people get through kind of some of the same types of feelings?
Well, I wish I could say at the time I dealt with that calmly, and I could see the gift in it, but that took some time.
That's hard though, isn't it? Like you've dedicated your whole life to something, and all of a sudden it's gone. That's difficult. That's hard to come through.
Well, another term could be it was a dark night of the soul experience.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was a high-level athlete, and then the next thing I knew, I was a surgery candidate, physical therapy patient, and literally not able to function.
Wow. So what did you do? Like, how do you get through that? That's a difficult time.
Well, part of the gift that came from the experience, when I got the injury, the doctor said, you need to have back surgery. And my response was, is there anything else I can do?
Any other options?
So he said, try laying in bed for a month.
Oh, wow.
That would be rough.
And did you?
I did. I did, because
tried it.
I tried it, and the only time I got up was to go to the little girl's room. But I tried that, and what I learned is I was more than my body. And someone gave me a book about visualization and meditation,
Okay.
and I had a lot of time to read.
Well, I would
And
imagine.
meditate.
So you spent time doing that.
So that was really the beginning of recognizing that we are all more than just our body, and having balance, body, mind, spirit, is important for overall wellness.
Well, that is certainly the case, and we find that is true in high-level athletes and even in low-level athletes. If you can kind of, visualize and you have to have the mental toughness to work through challenges, whether they're injuries or tough losses or whatever it is. So that balance is so important. So let's talk a little bit about what advice that you might have for athletes that are going through struggles, whether it's an injury that they're dealing with that they didn't want to deal with, that they weren't planning on dealing with, or a tough loss. Like what do you do? How do you regroup?
Well, I think if we can, often it really is a crisis in some way, but the concept of resilience is important. Can we begin to look at what is the opportunity in whatever takes place, whether it's in our life or relationships or careers? I don't know if you've noticed, but life doesn't always go the way that we planned.
What?
Really?
What?
That's shocking.
You
So,
found that to be true?
I kind of have noticed that over the years.
Yes, it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't.
No.
So I think probably my recommendation from personal experience and life experience is, where is the opportunity? Things happen. We can't always change what happens, but we can change how we want to respond to it.
And that's really the key, right? Is the response. I mean, we don't have to be defined by the things that happen to us. We get to choose how we respond to that.
Yes.
So, are there techniques? Are there steps? How do you? I think that most of us would agree that that's true. What you just said is true. How do you get there? How do you get there from, I know it's true, but darn it, it's still hard for me to, I've actually found peace and I've been able to move on?
Well, I think the answer to that question I can possibly summarize in a new series, a class series that we are launching at the Live Well Center, and it's called Inner Wellness. And inner wellness is a good balance of our body, mind, and spirit. And this 4-week class that I'll be teaching is to teach people about the health benefits of going to the inner gym, and teaching people about mindfulness, relaxation, visualization, and meditation.
So you talk about the inner gym. I like that. I like that analogy. What exactly is mindfulness? How would you define that in terms that we can all apply and understand?
Well, the dictionary definition of mindfulness is the ability to focus and concentrate on an intended object in a curious and relaxed way.
A curious and relaxed way. I like that too. So say that one more time. I want to understand that.
So the concept of mindfulness is the ability to really concentrate and focus on one thing at a time.
And so when you're met with challenges, do you want to focus on the challenge, or do you want to focus on what is beyond the challenge?
Great question. Of course, what we want to do is we want to get our attention off of what's not working or the challenge and put our attention on what we do want. the experience of healing or improved relationship or the vision of what's possible. But we do need to take our attention off of what's not working and put our attention where we want to go.
So that means I have to stop thinking about sugar. I can't focus on sugar.
I think that might be a part of it. That might be a piece of it. I don't know if it's the whole puzzle, but it's a piece of it.
That's definitely a piece of the puzzle, yes, it is.
So is there literature, are there books, are there places to go to get more information and kind of find out how you can apply these principles in your own life?
Absolutely. It's quite amazing if you want to get on Google, get on the internet, and type in the word visualization, relaxation, meditation. There are all kinds of resources, videos, DVDs, downloads to support whether it's a 1-minute relaxation practice or learning about the amazing scientific research that is being done about how our brain actually changes. So there are books, there are resources online, and again, the class I'll be teaching here at the LiveWell Center just gives people the support and the evidence-based research to have an in-person experience. But there's a lot of support out there.
Awesome. Hannah, that's about all the time that we have today, but thank you so much for joining us. It's given us something to think about, hasn't it?
It has something to focus on.
Yes, absolutely.
With a positive outcome.
For sure. Well, Jeff, as you know, registration is open for the Huntsman World Senior Games.
Yes,
it's been open since March 1st, and if you're interested in becoming an athlete, now is the time. You can visit our website at www.seniorgames.net and register for the sport of your choice. In the spirit of full disclosure, we have to let people know there are a few sports that are closed. We've already closed pickleball and bowling because we've reached participation caps, and we've actually reached our cap for softball and volleyball teams as well.
Right.
Individual athletes can still register, but teams are full there. So far, Jeff, we've registered over 3,176 total athletes in all of our sports.
Which is amazing when you consider how far we are away from the games.
Yeah, it's well ahead of where we were last year at this time. So if you're thinking that this is your year to get involved, and we hope that you're thinking that, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it because you never know what is the next sport that's going to be filled up. The 2016 dates for the Huntsman World Senior Games are October 3rd through the 15th, and make plans to be a part of that with us this year. We're also celebrating our 30th anniversary.
Big 3-0.
We've been talking about that. So there's lots of ways that you can win. If you'll visit our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/World Senior Games, you can like it, you can follow it, and you can look for opportunities that you can win free entries and other prizes throughout this whole year.
And you're probably going to mention, but we do have lots of extra activities we're going to be planning during the games too. So you want to be here for that.
It's going to be a big party, so you don't want to miss it. Tune in next Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 or FM 93.1 for the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. And remember that you can listen to this and any previous podcast right from our website at seniorgames.net. Our thought for the day, Jeff: when it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars. Until next Thursday, stay active.
Bye, everyone.